Hello, I'm Luca and this is the Web3 in Travel podcast, where you can learn about crypto, blockchain, and how the new internet will change travel. So, Max, how are you?
Luca, very good. How are you? It's been a while.
Great. So let me introduce you quickly to the podcast listeners. So Max is CEO and founder of Winding Tree, or co-founder, and you correct me, of Winding Tree. Founder. Cool. Windingtree.com.
You never say Steve Jobs was a co-founder of Apple, do you?
Never. Everybody else is. No, you're right. So listen, if Winding Tree is 5 years old now, or 4 years old company. You did your ICO in 2018 at the beginning. So 18, 19, 2022, 4 or 5 years old. So
it's been a couple of years.
Okay, even a bit more. And basically, Winding Tree is, I talked about your company in a podcast when I was trying to explain decentralization in Web3, in travel. And I was placing you at the extreme end of decentralization, which basically means you can do stuff in Web3 in travel, but if you want to do stuff today, well, you have to centralize because most people don't have a wallet. So what can you do? And you've been trying to do decentralized stuff since the beginning, and you went business to business because consumers are not ready. But so you're one of the purists. Maybe the most pure in the whole space, saying, okay, if it's not decentralized, we don't want to do it. And this year you started something which actually is decentralized. Of course, there's trade-offs because not everybody has a wallet still. Why? We don't know, but that's the thing. And so, tell us about this experiment, or well, it's more than experiment. It's actually very concrete. You did real bookings. Tell us about this if you want, and let's take it from there. So Win.so, right?
That's right. So Win.so. Right now we've concluded the experiment, so there's not a lot of stuff on that website, but we will be updating it very soon. So I would encourage you. You can go to Win.so. Again, to people who are listening and to people who are curious, down at the bottom you have Discord link, and there you have access on our Discord to all the conversations that we're having about future experiments. Let's call them like that right now. Check it out. But let me start actually with this idea. You call me purist, and it's I guess it's a fair description. And I still am convinced, and no one so far was able to sort of prove me wrong, that the moment you start centralizing elements of I don't know, let's say you're trying to create something that's ultimately going to be decentralized, the moment you start centralizing elements of that something, of that system that you're trying to build, you are compromising the future of the whole project, really. And up until this point, I bring it up all the time, and I read about it on Twitter. I simply do not understand how a project that claims to be decentralized, or claims to be decentralized in the future, how that project could take money from VCs, for example. That notion is quite ridiculous to me. Those two things are completely antithetical to each other. So we are uncompromising, and again, not just on the, let's say, taking money from VCs. And by the way, Winding Tree is completely and fully funded by the community, so we don't have any VC involvement. We're quite determined on our path to decentralization. And as you said, for a long time, we've been trying to go B2B with Winding Tree. We're talking to hotels and airlines and travel agencies and whatnot. And the reason for that was not because we thought, consumers, they don't have wallets. I guess partly that's changed, or sort of it's a variable. It's a part of that equation that we have on our hands right now. but we've simply thought that, hey, we have to fix the plumbing here. We have to fix the pipes. And that's why we went to companies, again, to suppliers and buyers of travel. But guess what? They're even more backwards, I guess, or they're even further behind that most consumers, because a lot of consumers right now, a lot of persons, they have wallets. They definitely more of NFT holders, I guess, these days. Again, just mere mortals like you and I, they understand blockchain better than most people in travel. And I am just every time I talk to a person from the travel space and a person who is supposed to know about blockchain, because let's say they're journalists, they are, I don't know, they are an innovator, they are an entrepreneur, and I ask them a very, very simple question, a very basic question: do you have a wallet? Which is like, it's the first step in your decentralization journey or in your blockchain journey. And of course, most people, I mean, I would say 98%, 95% maybe, they don't have a wallet. They haven't even started on this journey. And blockchain has been around for a long time now, for what, 14 years now since Bitcoin was created, which is quite a long time. But anyway, this time around, we said, and as I said, we tried to talk to companies, we tried to go B2B, and we spent a lot of time, especially during COVID. I mean, you can imagine how slow that process had been. But this time around, we said, okay, two things have happened, really. Proliferation of layer 2, that is, I guess, optimized blockchains. That's how I would explain it. Blockchains that are fast and cheap, and NFTs. Again, are a lot of interest from just mere mortals who started buying NFTs and therefore started to have those wallets. So those two things have happened, and we were like, hey, how about we just really go end to end, decentralized everything. And really, what happened? True story. I said, okay, I need to take a vacation. It was February, and I was meaning to take a few weeks off, which I sort of did in a way. And I was in Georgia, the country, not Georgia, the state. And I was in the mountains skiing during the day, but at night I was coding with a few other people. And that was the beginning of the smart contract that we created for this experiment that we call Win.so right now. And really, that whole project happened within a couple months. Yeah, it was about.
Let's take a step back, because I'm sure that many listeners have heard the word decentralization and still don't really associate it with anything valuable. I think this is one of the main problems in our space, because even, you mentioned the NFT, people getting into NFT, buying NFTs, selling NFTs, still not understanding why. I mean, it's just stuff you buy and sell, and maybe you buy it for one and sell it for two. But I think we are leapfrogging into Web3 and many people are not even understanding what decentralization is, right? So I'm sure you had a million times like trying to explain to people, why is it why don't you simply do it centralized, right? How do you explain this to people who are just being exposed to this concept?
Well, on one hand, explaining it's not rocket science. It's very easy to explain, I think. But really, to understand it, to truly understand this process and this massive shift, I think, it takes a lot of time. And again, it's not the explanation time. It's just for people to really, for that understanding to sink in, right? And explaining it, I mean, what is decentralization? It's a process of really decentralizing something, right? So, and that something could be anything. And examples I've been giving for years now is, let's say, a transition from monarchy to democracy. So
Oh,
what are you
right.
decentralizing
This one
here?
is good. Yeah.
Decision making, right? Yeah. So on one hand, you have one single person basically with ultimate power, and on another hand, you have democracy. Which one is better? I guess you decide for yourself in which world you wanna live. But yeah, that's an example of decentralization, right?
Right.
Or do you want to buy a certain product from one single company that has no competitors? Or do you want to have competition or a few different companies that compete with each other on price, on quality of the product? Like what again? Which world do you want to live in? And again, this with this example, we have an example of decentralizing, I don't know, markets, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Where
We are living in a world in which fewer and fewer people understand why we live in democracies. They are messy. They are the process is expensive. It's slow. Why don't we have just one person on the power? Somebody a sage, somebody a wise who can take quick and great decisions. And why do we even need democracy? So, in a world in which fewer and fewer people understand the value of democracy, and actually they see only the bad part, like the mess democracies are, and they don't see the dangers of centralization, so the dangers of autarky, of autocratic leaders,
Correct.
of dictatorships.
I think we know,
Yeah.
we all now see that. We all know. I firmly believe that the stuff that's happening right now, I mean, of course, the war, it's exactly, it's a product of heavily centralized decision making process. It's just a couple of people or a few people that called the shots on this one. And if it was up to the people, and again, if media in Russia was decentralized, and I didn't mean this call to be political. I didn't mean this episode.
But it is, decentralization is political, because
it is political. Absolutely,
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, we came.
Go ahead.
We came from like a 10 years in which China was like growing and growing and growing, and everything works. And you want to build railways, and it's done. And you want to build dams, and it's done. And in Europe, it takes 20 years to build a highway. And we started looking at these centralized systems oh, maybe we should do more like them. And one thing in our political system we forget, we are in kind of democratic system, but the politicians are not democrats. Politicians, if they can, they become autocrats. The only thing is democracy stops them from getting all that power. But people in power, they want more power. And we've seen this with COVID, and we see it all the time. Now, with this war, we are looking, as you're saying correctly, we see that that's what happens when somebody has too much power. It looks great at the beginning, it's faster, is more efficient, and then everything goes to hell. And that's the history of every dictatorship, right? And the same is with decentralization. One way I explain is like insurance. You pay for it, it's expensive, right? You don't want to pay for an insurance, but when something goes bad, you are so happy that you had it. And this decentralization is like this. Things are harder, more complicated. We could do them quicker. We could do them in a quicker way, but then things go to hell. With blockchain, you are kind of saying, yeah, I'm paying forward to be sure that nothing is going to hell. Is that a good reading of the situation?
I never sort of thought of it this way, but you're building a house. You want to build a house on a solid foundation. Like, it's not about how quickly you're going to build a house, but really, what are you optimizing for, right? Is it, hey, I want to live in some sort of house right here and right now, and I don't care where that house is going to be in 5 years. Maybe it's going to fall apart completely, right? No, you want to build for the long term, right? And so, the foundation has to be solid, and the plumbing has to be solid, and ideologically and technically and technologically, we just have to start building on a solid ground instead of relying on this shaky legacy systems.
So you are a hotel, and booking.com comes to you and says, look, very low effort, very quick results. I'm going to bring you so many bookings. You just pay a commission, fair commission, 15%, 20%, and don't worry about anything, right? And then Winding Tree comes to you and says, look, it's a hell. It's complicated. You need a wallet, etc. But you're not going to end up you're not going to end up owned by us. But you are owned by Booking.com. They own you. You're working for them, right? Many of those
for a hotel.
Yeah,
for a hotel, and that's what they keep discussing at conferences and in person with us. If you sell on Booking.com, the person who comes to your hotel, they're not your customer; they're Booking.com customer, right?
Exactly.
Of course, they charge quite a hefty percentage, but you know what? The difference is that's not what we tell hotels right now. It's not. We don't say, hey, it's going to be complicated or anything like that. We teach them, right? We say, and really, truly, it is not a rocket science to understand how wallets work, to understand how blockchains work. It's not rocket science at all. I mean, I know teenagers who do that, and I know old people who do. Like, you don't have to have a degree to operate a blockchain wallet, right? And so, yeah, it's a very simple process. We teach hotels how to do that, and we go to those hotels not with the pitch of like, hey, check it out, decentralized. No, we say, hey, there's a community. There's a community of 100,000 people. And I don't know, it's their estimate, probably more people own crypto or actively use crypto in their daily lives these days, right? And we say, do you want to capture this community? They're more than willing to pay with crypto. And as a hotel, hey, do you want to capture this audience? And do you want to make more money than on Booking.com? If so, hey, here's a couple of simple tools that you got to learn how to do that, and that's it.
And you cannot capture those people through Booking.com because those people are saying, I'm done with fiat, I'm done with credit cards, I want to book with crypto.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Or a part of them.
Yeah, we encounter a lot of people who they don't have cash, they don't have fiat, they operate entirely in the crypto space. But beyond that, in Amsterdam, where we had this experiment, people are just super excited about this, and in that community, people understand the value of booking through a smart contract instead of going through an intermediary. They understand exactly. I mean, that's what the whole blockchain space is built upon, right? Upon the idea of decentralization, upon the idea of autonomy, and having your own money, and or owning your own money, owning your own assets, and not relying on someone to hold money for you, to hold a hotel ticket for you, etc. It's a hotel reservation for you, right? And it's pretty. Everyone that we talk to, they're so excited about this opportunity, and it's not because it's cheaper, and it was cheaper in Amsterdam. We had a 50% discount thanks to our partner DoubleTree by Hilton. We had a 50% discount on hotel rooms, right? And I mean, of course, it's exciting, and of course, you save a lot of money, and of course, partly because you don't pay 20-30% commission to whatever the intermediary you used before, right? But also because Hilton was excited to partner with us, and they're like, this is amazing. This is like, guys, this is just, they were mind blown, really. And we continue talking to them, and we had a few other, of course, partner hotels, and this is exciting journey, of course.
So on one end, you have the crypto community, the guests who want to book in this way, whatever their reason is. Like, I'm seeing from outside of Web3, hotels may wonder, okay, these guys want to book in this way, I don't know why, but fine, I want them, right? And on the other hand, the other side, you have the hotel who wants customers, and these are also, they tend to be high spenders, at least during bull runs. So I see this makes sense. And finally, we have something which makes sense, because you just have to put them together. Of course, it requires some work on the hotel side to train them. And it's done only in these specific conference situations. But hey, Airbnb started like this too, right? So you focus on these situations and you make it happen, and it happened. So tell us, how did it go? I mean, it happened. Yeah.
It was fun and it was stressful, but yeah, it happened. It made sense. I myself checked in with our NFT, and I saw with my own eyes how other people were doing that.
That's a first NFT check-in. That's a first.
That's right. First ever NFT check-in. So you did the first booking, but you didn't have the NFT check-in.
No. No. That's the first. It's great. I mean, those NFTs will be worth maybe in the future a lot. That's not the point, of course, but they may be historic. Some museum, some Web3 travel museum, 10, 20 years from now, they're gonna want these NFTs for sure.
Absolutely. So, I think we should open a secondary market. Well, not maybe right now. Maybe next year. But maybe you're right.
Yeah, in a museum, in this 3D world at what's his name, 6259 or something. They open this metaverse museum where you can put museums of NFTs, and maybe we can build a travel NFT museum district there.
Only in Vatican, okay? So Vatican just opened an NFT museum.
Yeah,
so I would only agree if our NFTs were displayed in Vatican.
All right, we're gonna make this happen. I got friends in Rome. So, well, basically, people went to your website, they interacted with the smart contracts, they paid, and then the hotel got their crypto. Tell me a little bit more. I was asking this in the Discord about the smart contracts, which basically is the core thing here, right? Because the website is just a front end. I could build a different front end on the same smart contracts probably. So what's the logic? You can go technical here because I really want to know first, right? What was exactly the logic of those smart contracts? And then later we can translate it in an easier way, maybe.
Right. So, I mean, the logic is simple of the smart contract. As a provider, you have a limited number of something that you can sell every day, right? That is 10 rooms that you can sell every day. And smart contract, it held really on-chain hotel inventory. And you put those things together and it just makes so much sense. Okay, what is smart contract to me? Why I'm excited about smart contract still, like a child. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Let me play with those things all day long. What smart contract gives to us, really, the type of innovation is, here's an example. This is the story I tell people these days. I was booking an airline flight, right? A flight, doesn't matter from where to where. I went to the airline website. I am a customer of them. I signed up with my account. I filled out all the forms, the credit card information and whatnot. I push a button and, the few pop-ups, the one pop-up says, everything was successful. Another pop-up says, hey, there was a problem. I just trusted, I guess, the one that was successful, that everything went through. And the problem is, a couple days later, I'm like, so let me check my flight details. So what's happening there? And I cannot find the reservation anywhere, right? It's not, I go to the airline website again, I log in, it's not in my bookings. I'm like, okay, maybe it didn't go through. I check my email, no email. I'm like, yeah, I guess it didn't go through at all. I check the payment and the payment went through. I check my credit card statement and it's there. I'm like, okay, this is not good. I go to the airline website again. I go to the support page, and you know how they make those support pages these days? Like, you can never find the information. You're like, where do I click to speak to someone? Anyway, I'm a person number 700 something in the queue to chat with their support, like online. So I had to sit in front of my computer for like an hour and a half And I tell them like, hey, what's up? You took my money. Where's my stuff? Right. And eventually they figured it out. They found it somewhere. The guy had to send it to me manually somehow. The thing is, with smart contract, that doesn't happen. You know why? Simply because what is a smart contract? Smart contract is nothing else but a computer program. That everyone knows that, right? It's a computer program that lives on the blockchain. Awesome. It's an unstoppable computer program if you decide to program it in such a way. But what I'm excited about is that in that program, you can use payment primitives already. That is, you have money as a variable in that computer program. So you can program, and that's what we did with our smart contract, is that if you send enough money to book a hotel, right, to book a specific room at a specific hotels on specific dates, and you send enough money, you will receive back the NFT, right? If you don't send enough money or something, like some parameters are wrong, no one will take your payment. The transaction will be reverted. You will have your money back right away, right? So a situation where you paid, but you don't have the booking, it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. And so really this amazing innovation that and again, blockchains are 14 years old, right? Like it didn't happen yesterday. But just the simple idea is just so powerful. And take it one step further, and we don't have that logic in our smart contract because we're actually working on an upgrade right now. And it's going to be a major upgrade, and it's going to be faster, better, more powerful. It will be on multiple different chains, et cetera, right? So a lot of exciting plans we have, of course. But take this idea of using payment primitives, that is money as a variable in your program, one step further. Imagine you have to cancel a hotel reservation. Imagine and just think about right now, thinking about it, how miserable you are already, right? Because you have to call them, you have to email them. They're going to tell you, hey, yes, your money will be back in your original form of payment within 72 hours, etc. Like, just imagine going through that situation. With smart contracts, everything literally happens within just a few seconds, right? Maybe 10 seconds or so. You push a button, and the smart contract itself that holds the hotel inventory and has the conditions for cancellation, you push a button, and if whatever the conditions that are applicable to your particular case, maybe, hey, you are canceling way ahead of time, months, like a month before, right? So you are entitled to 100% refund. Yeah, you're going to get that refund within seconds. That's it.
So seeing from this point of view, you can say that smart contracts are using internet money, while the other booking systems are using non-internet money. And it's not about that. It's not,
Luca. It's not about that. It's not about using two different types of money at all. The problem is that with traditional payments, with, like, imagine an airline or a hotel, you're using two separate systems. One system takes care of bookings, of reservations, and another system is about money and about payments, right? And the complication here is that always in the middle right now, you have to have a person who matches the two things, right? That person that I was chatting when I was resolving my flight situation, that person, their job was to figure out the relationship between the payment and the booking, right? They had to see and they had to match the data in two different systems that do not talk to each other. They require a human component. And that's why those things are so complicated. Remove that human component, marry those two systems together. That's a smart contract, where whatever the logic of that program, of that smart contract is, and again, it's not a complicated logic. That program that we wrote, the smart contract, is extremely simple. Have a look at it. I mean, you know how to read smart contracts, maybe, but have a look at it. The logic there is extremely, I want to say, stupid. You know,
what does it do exactly?
Literally
So
says
when I
the
pay,
logic.
what happens?
The logic, I mean, literally, like for cancellations, it would say if number of days before reservations is more than 30, then if this button is clicked, return all the money to the user and burn the NFT that they received. This is it. This is like, that's how stupid it is.
So the money when I pay stays in the smart contract, doesn't go to the hotel, right?
Correct. It doesn't go to the hotel right
until
away.
check-in, or
until check-in, correct.
Okay, so and on check-in date, it goes like something triggers the transfer, the transaction
correct.
to
the
hotel.
Hotel has to actually the check-in process triggers the transfer, and again, in our particular case, in our particular situation right now, we design it in such a way that here's how it works. You interact with a smart contract, again, through our interface that we've built, that anyone can take, anyone can run their own copy of the interface that we've built, right? So you interact with that website, you say, I want this room, I want it for 5 days. Okay, the price is $1,000 or whatever it is, or 1,000 X DAI, because we were doing it on Gnosis chain, right? A MetaMask pop-up appears. It says, hey, would you like to pay 1,000 X DAI to the smart contract? You say yes. And in return, you receive an NFT that has all these details. It says the dates, it says the name of the hotel, et cetera, right? Then you check in, but the money that you paid, they don't go, the money doesn't go to the hotel right away. The money is held by the smart contract in escrow. And then you go to the hotel, and when you check in, and checking in is also an on-chain transaction. And by the way, on Gnosis chain, the cost of that transaction is a fraction of a cent.
Yes,
it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. Someone was telling me yesterday that they did over 700 transactions and paid 11 cents on Gnosis chain. So literally the cost of one transaction in Gnosis chain is minuscule. But anyway, when you check in, it is a non-chain transaction. And when you do so, and actually both parties have to agree that they're checking in, but it's just one transaction. But when that happens, the sum for the first day of reservation is transferred to the hotel at that point, right?
The first day only, okay.
The first day only. And then on the last day, on the checkout day, the hotel can transfer, again, claim that money from the smart contract, basically the rest, right? So yeah, that's in a nutshell how it works.
Why did you separate this into it? So in case something goes wrong, right?
In case something goes wrong, in case something has to be changed, but we sort of simulated. We talked to, I mean, that's usually how hotels work, right? They charge you the whole amount by the end of your stay, so they actually charge your credit card by the end of the stay. But yeah, we need to talk more to our customers, to hotels, and ask them how they would prefer for the system to work. Transferring the whole amount, it's possible, and again, it's not about the specifics here, you know, when the whole amount is transferred. It's just the ability of the system
you can do
to do any logic.
You can do a streaming after check-in. The money starts to be getting streamed.
Absolutely, every minute, or I don't know, every hour.
That's the power of like native money. It becomes a primitive of the software. You can do whatever. Right. You can stake it. Well, you can stake the money in a pool and earn interest. Okay, it's nothing on a few days, but you know, you could stake the money from the booking date, the check-in date. All the money of the smart contract could be staked in some DeFi project and earn interest.
That's
so
right.
You start thinking all these things, you're like, my God, you can do so many things which you cannot do with normal money. So I see your smart contract, how it works. Of course, that's the first version. I assume your upgrade means you're upgrading the same contract, so you kept it flexible. Is that correct?
Actually, it's going to be a completely new version.
Version
This
2.
was an experiment, and we wanted to now to sort of design a system that would work, that could potentially work with multiple different chains. And we're just thinking about, just philosophically, does inventory belong on chain or not? Does anything that doesn't necessarily require I don't know, security that blockchains provide, to like, why do we need to store inventory on chain? And another sort of consideration here is that a lot of hotels, a lot of airlines, definitely, they do dynamic pricing. And dynamic pricing was not quite possible with the smart contract as we designed it. So we actually right now are working on a completely new smart contract, and we'll be providing open source software around it, which will require like a very lightweight server, which people will be able to, again, it's not rocket science. You just click a few buttons, you set everything up, and you're good to go. Okay. A little bit of education will be required here, of course, but that new version, we're all super, super excited about it. And that's what we're gonna use in Paris and in Barcelona and at a few other conferences as well.
And I see you go, there's Bogota. Is Bogota happening finally?
Bogota is happening. I know, it's been a few years.
All right. So Max, in 5 years from now, okay, we're gonna have more users with crypto, and we're gonna have probably more hotels, hotel chains, and travel companies in general who want to tap into this market. So that's their incentive, and they are ready. They're gonna learn, and they're gonna train and whatever, set up systems to capture this market. So where do you see this in a few years? Just more of this, or something a bit different? And the question I'm asking is because I always try to remember that we are kind of forced to think in skeuomorphic ways. Like, we're trying to do the same things differently because, I'm sure you know what skeuomorphic is, but let me tell this for the listeners. It's like when big buildings were built with columns, and then we invented like reinforced concrete, and columns were not needed anymore, but we kept building buildings with columns until much later we realized, why the hell do we have these columns? We don't need them. And we started buildings like skyscrapers. We always start from, let's do the old thing better with the new technology. So maybe what we're doing today with bookings is still skeuomorphic, or maybe in a few years we're going to do this completely differently. Where do you see this in a few years?
The thing is, it's already completely differently. And actually, people were completely mind blown by the process right now. Imagine your usual hotel booking. And I'm talking about the Amsterdam experiment and Win right now, right? People were mind blown about how fast it was, how efficient it was. Like, imagine your regular hotel booking where you have to fill out your name, fill out your email address, fill out your address, type your credit card number, enter your billing. No, nothing. The whole thing goes away. All you say is, I want this room and I want it now. Click the pay button. This is it. Why does the hotel need my name at all in this transaction? They needed it before to match, I don't know, the payment information and the credit card, needed the billing detail address to, again, make sure that there's no fraud. No, that whole thing goes away. You show up at the hotel, they know that it's you because you have the NFT. You scan the QR code that basically checks you in. And of course, you hand the hotel your ID, which they legally obligated to take to verify who's staying at their hotel. But that's it, right? It's already wildly different and so much more efficient than anything else that I've seen before. I mean, it was a delight. People, again, as I said, people were completely mind blown by this. And the check-in process is again, as I said, is just scanning a QR code. They're like, okay, that's you. You give them the ID. they fill out the information, whatever they can scan it or whatever the things that they do in different hotels these days. But that's it. You're done.
I don't think we can stress this thing enough. And you did it twice already, and it's not enough, because we come from a world in which we're saying, blockchain is going to give you these advantages, right? But it's complicated. And the answer was always, yeah, but it's complicated. Booking is easy. Airbnb is easy. And then you do it in the new way, and you realize that no, the old way is very complicated. It's very so fragmented. It's so old style. And once you do it with a wallet, you book through a wallet, and it's literally 2 clicks or 3 or whatever, compared to how many clicks before. And you go like, no, the new way is the easy one. The hard part is to upgrade your tech stack, to get a wallet. These initial things, it's like, look, before the internet, you had paper bookings, and then you had internet bookings. And internet bookings are much easier. But to get on the internet, you're required to get the modem, the router, the computer, blah, blah, blah. That was the hard part, the infrastructure. Once we had it, booking online is a no-brainer compared to booking with the paper. And we're going to go through the same thing. And I love that you say that. And I'm very impressed that you say that people were mind blown, because those people are Web3 users.
Yeah.
So they're not like, yeah, they're not people who don't know anything about this. They've been doing this for a long time. Still, they're mind blown because they book by interacting with the MetaMask or a wallet, whatever. So that's why I'm so bullish about this. Once people upgrade to this new technology, bookings are going to be so easy and so fast that we're never going to want to go back, because it's just better. It's just easier. It's more, let me say in a better way, it's not better because decentralized only, but it's better because it's the user experience is 10 times better.
Correct.
Right.
And I mean, but on top of that, of course, you get all these other good things
exactly
that are absolutely so. Again,
yeah, but Max, they always told us, guys, we understand this is better, blah, 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 but people want it easy. Yes, this is 10 times easier. That's the message few people got so far. And that's why I want your system to be successful, and I want to use it, because I want to prove and have the feeling myself that this is just an easier way to do bookings.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I just wanted to mention, really, because I talked with many people I know. We're doing a lot of our research. So it is easier. It is faster. It is, you're not paying, and by the way, you're not paying this crazy transaction fee of 20% or on average, right? Again, simply because you don't need a person in the middle who is verifying the payment system and the booking system and trying to make sense out of those two, right? It's expensive. Human labor is expensive, of course. And if we don't need the human labor here in the middle, again, it's just like we optimized so many industries before. We can free up people from this meaningless stuff, right? And that's, how great is that? How great is that we can now free up people, thousands and thousands of people who are doing this meaningless support stuff for stupid reasons, like my reason when I was booking the flight, like, hey, I paid for it. Where is it? Why is it not there? We should not have a separate human being who is supposed to make sense out of this legacy systems and find those, find and match my data in a heap of just this mess of whatever the systems they have, right? But also in Georgia, where this project really had started, it's a unique community, and we're actually planning to have a conference there next year, so exactly a year pretty much after we started writing that smart contract there. A unique community where they know crypto. There's a big mining community there. It's a beautiful ski resort kind of place. And just think about about it, that they rely very, very heavily, that whole community, that whole resort, the several villages, right? They rely on tourism income. And 20% of their income, of the income of this whole community, is going to some transnational corporation somewhere that probably, I don't know, incorporated in Ireland somewhere in order to avoid paying taxes. So that money and that value is extracted from that community. And guess what? Going there to those mountains is a 6-hour-long drive on a road that it's absolutely nuts sometimes, right? So those people, they don't have the money to fix those roads, but they're paying a 20% tribute. That situation is just so disgusting to me on so many levels that, yeah, but our goal is to bring really freedom to these communities, to make them financially independent, to make them independent on a few other levels as well, to really for them to allow them to invest into their infrastructure, into their well-being, into their community, into the sustainability of this whole endeavor, right? And really start caring about other things. For example, there is no separation of trash in that community. They simply cannot afford it. Why? Because they're paying 20% to this company somewhere. And that money they could invest into their community, make their children learn, blockchains and hospitality, and learn languages and stuff like that. And just the irony of me sitting there writing that smart contract, not the irony, but like it was bittersweet. I'm
sarcasm.
I'm here right now and I see it. And I see how they're struggling. I see that struggle. I see everything that's around me, and I'm writing this tool that will help them to be free. And it was, I don't know, it's just such a profound feeling. And you know what? At the end of the day, I could not do that. It's just I don't know. That's I guess how I am. So it was
yeah. Like I know the answer. I think I know the answer to the following question, but I want to hear it from you. People will say, yeah, of course, you're going to replace Booking with Winding Tree. You're going to just be the next intermediary.
Right.
What is the answer? Because people are probably thinking this, and we need to have an explicit answer. And please go ahead and say why Winding Tree is not going to be the next intermediary. Not because you're a good guy, not because you promised that you won't extract the money, but because you can't, right?
Exactly. Be no evil, or cannot be evil at all, right? So then I don't know. So to those people, I really, and I know the type of the type of people, the type of person you're talking about, where they're skeptical, and I understand that. But whatever I say, if they don't know the basics of decentralization and the basics of blockchains, I don't think at that point in time when someone, someone like that asks me that question, hey, you're going to be the next intermediary. All I can say, hey, go and learn about blockchains, go learn about decentralization and how blockchains work, and the ethos of Web3, how it's supposed to be. And I'm not talking about stupid monkeys being sold for a ridiculous amount of money. That's all the froth. That's not important to me. The technology and the ethical reasons for the first blockchain to be invented and to exist, really. That's what really matters. And people, if they don't understand that, if they never learn about it, I'm not going to be the first person trying to educate them about it. I simply don't have time for that.
But let me try anyway.
Again, I try.
And tell me if there's a good explanation about this. So sure. Winding Tree writes a smart contract at a certain point, which is immutable. So you deploy this contract on the blockchain. The moment you deploy it, you lost it. It becomes public good, or in a metaphor I used is like you you invented a seed for a new kind of tomato. And once the seed is planted around, if you want to change it, you can't. It's just out there. And people will use it if they want it, and they won't use it if they don't want it, right? So Winding Tree, after creating these smart contracts, can't do anything, cannot extract money. You cannot start with like free and then one day charge 1% on every booking. Not on that contract. Yeah, you can do a new one and say, guys, we want this to be sustainable. We're going to charge 1% or 0.3%, like Uniswap, whatever. But that contract you create at the beginning, if it's immutable, it is just out there. It's a public good. Is this a good way to explain that?
It is a good. So I think even the more is a simpler way is to just say, hey, we're building a public good. And that's it. I think that should be enough for people. Hey, we're building a public good. They can then ask, how come that's a public good? Like, how do you ensure that you're not a tyrant? And we can talk further and we can explain, hey, this is how it's going to work. And the way we envision how this, it's not just one smart contract, it's going to be a series of smart contracts. The way we envision it to work, yes, it's a public good, and it's owned by all the users of this platform. Really, it is owned by the community.
And it can be forked. It can be forked. So if you start being the bad guy, you copy them and you make a new version. So all the work has been done already, right?
Absolutely.
Even if the ones you do are not immutable, because immutability is really hard. You can have bugs. So at the beginning, you're probably going to keep them kind of flexible, I suppose. But they can be copied. So there's always a way to say, okay, I'm going to do my own. It's open source, right?
Yeah. So I encourage you, Luca, to do that.
Listen, what about the NFTs? Yeah, because you're going to be evil soon. So I have to plan. You're going to be evil the day your smart contracts are mature and I can just fork them. You're going to be evil from my point of view. Jokes aside, those NFTs, can they be sold? Like the NFT I get when I book, like, let's say what is your next, let's see, Prague 10, 12 of June, right? I'm going to book
Actually, we're not going to be in Prague, but good question. And actually, I wanted to sort of partly answer the question that you asked before, hey, predict how this whole thing is going to look like in 5 years. I have no idea. And that's the most exciting thing. And I don't want to predict even how this is going to look like, because the possibilities here are endless and we don't have to do all the work. Like absolutely, it is possible for people to build a secondary marketplace for these NFTs to be sold and resold, and the hotel is going to receive a commission, right, or royalty. Or, hey, the hotel will mint their own NFTs for for next year, and they're gonna put it up on a Dutch auction because, hey, hotels are notoriously bad at pricing their stuff. And so that's going to be a price discovery mechanism for hotels to sell their inventory. Wow, I don't want to do that. I don't have resources to do that. Luca, you should do this because it's open source and I cannot stop you from doing this, right? It's such an open-ended sort of platform that, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe you're right. Maybe hotels will mint their own NFTs. They're gonna stake it on some sort of DeFi project. They're gonna take a loan. They're gonna buy another property, and they're gonna mint that property again. And it's gonna be a madness of transactions. And I don't know. It's all I know. All I know is I'm having a ton of fun. We're helping people. We're saving whole communities from tyranny. And we're having a blast. Like everyone we're talking to is just so excited about it.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Ridiculous.
You are right in saying this. The whole thing is so much fun. I mean, it's really fun at every level. Let me ask you a question. So Paris, 21st of July. I won't be in Paris. I'm in Thailand right now, so I won't be there for sure. Can I make a booking, get the NFT, and then come into your Discord and say, guys, I got this booking. Who wants it? taking the risk that nobody wants it and I lose the money, or maybe making a profit? Is this something which technically can be done, and is something which are you encouraging or not?
Go for it. You should be able to do that. You should have all the properties of the NFT. NFT is an NFT. You should be able to transfer it. You should to your other wallet. So yeah, no one should be able to stop you from doing that, right? Again, because the whole system is decentralized. There cannot be, but theoretically, we as a platform, we cannot enforce this rule, right? But as a hotel, hey, that's you who creates those NFTs, like you're the source of this NFTs. So theoretically, yeah, you should be able to say maybe in the future, and I don't know, maybe it's a bad idea, but you should be able to say, hey, you mint as NFT, and that's it. You cannot transfer it anymore. I know maybe it's a silly rule, but it is a possibility, and if the whole community says, hey, this is how those things are going to be, they're not transferable at all, which again, I disagree with that opinion. But if the community says, hey, that's how it's going to be, so be it.
You said you're not going to be in Prague. What do you mean? You're going to have the bookings?
In Prague, yeah, we're not going to do Win for the Prague event.
Okay.
We're going to be in Barcelona, we're going to be in Paris, we're going to be in Bogota, and we're going to be in Berlin in September, I believe.
Okay.
And that's just crypto events. We're going to be at a few travel events as well.
Oh, all right. Okay. So basically for the next of 2022, you are going to iterate on Win.so and improve it. I mean, that must feel great to finally, after so many years, being in a situation in which actually you can do something like which people are using.
No, you'll have no idea. And again, this kind of situation, this new approach, it simply works, and we're just elated that it works. Customers are happy, hotels are happy, we're happy. It's amazing.
Great. Listen, I'd like in a few months to have another chat about this and see how it went. And I hope to be able to even book one and come at one of these conferences. Sure. And I have no more questions. It's been really great. I mean, we've been in crypto for a while, and we know how much theory we had to go through, and bear market and everything. And finally, even in travel, and travel is just at the beginning of all this. I mean, we've just started, right? And seeing something concrete makes me really, really happy. So great. Thank you for what you've been doing. Let's see how this goes.
Thank you, Luca. Thank you for such a good chat. It was amazing. And we should, in a few months, we'll talk again.
Perfect. So let's keep in touch. Bye, Max.
Have a good day. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. This is the end of today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. For more insights on Web3, follow me on Twitter at tripluca, TRIPLUCA, and see you next time.